Hello everybody, and welcome to Crafty Hour. This is Kourtney with Scrapbook-N-Memories, and we are going to be playing with the Crafty Hour number 73 kit, which is the Paper Rose Christmas Holly Quick Card Collection. I hope you guys got to tune in and watch Deanna this morning. She had some fabulous cards, and don't forget that you can always go back and catch us on replay, or we both have a YouTube channel and we download those, and you can jump over there also and watch our Crafty Hours on our YouTube channels. All right, so let me go find us, everybody. Okay. Just try to center up my mat there. There we go. And where's my comments? There we go. Now I got them. Hello, everybody. I see everybody jumping on. Hello. So we are going to be playing with a fun fold tonight. You know me. I love to either do a shaker or a fun fold or something that has movement. Seems to be what sings to me lately. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing this fun card. I don't even know what to call it, but it's going to have this. I love the circles that are in these kits, so I always love to take advantage of these circles and do something creative with them. So we're going to do this card right here that's going to have kind of a fun flip that you can see it. And then in here, I left a panel blank, so that way you guys can put your salutations or put something else there. So there's the first one. Then we're going to repeat the same card design and put it on the second card too. So welcome everybody. Welcome. Good afternoon. So I hope you love them. And then as always, I love to guys, as Christina always says and Samantha at Scraps of Love, they always say, make a sloppy copy. So I always love to now make a sloppy copy. This is just using printer paper, whatever you guys have on hand to make a copy. I always write my dimensions on here and where pattern papers and things go. And then I put these in a little basket. So I have a basket full of all of my, let me just reach, I'm gonna reach all of my kind of little sloppy copies that we do. Because sometimes I wanna go back, here's a different one that we did on a Crafty Hour. I wanna go back and make these things again. So I put these in my little like library, I guess you could say. And then that way, when I want to make another fun fold or something, I have my measurements that I can go back to. I was keeping one of all of my cards. That way I always had a sample, but then I wasn't giving my cards. And then I had these and I had to redo the measurements and remeasure everything. So I just take pictures of my cards now. And I have these little guys, so then I can flip through my basket and see what inspires me. I have all the measurements there. I have all the designs there. So that's what I always recommend now is make one of these. This is like your little prototype or your template. And then you always have that in your library of card bases. So that's what we're going to kind of start with, guys. So the homework was really easy. It was basically just grabbing some items of cardstock and some golds. We'll cut everything together. So we're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And what we're going to do, since both of these cards are going to be the same, basically, we're going to cut the bases all together at once. So you will see this is just a standard A2 card size right there. So it's just standard A2. So it is 5.5 by 8.5. So our piece of paper is 8.5 by 11. So you're going to put it in your trimmer so it is wider than it is tall. And we're going to go to 5.5, okay? And then we're going to slice. So now you're going to end up with your two card bases that are equal in size, okay? We'll go ahead and flip them, and we're going to score both of them. Might as well do them both at the same time. So we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And then we'll score the other one at 4 1/4. So we're just prepping both of our card bases at the same time. Why not? Why not? Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great night. I hope you got to tune in for Deanna's Crafty Hour. My goodness, she did a fabulous job with this kit. We are loving these paper rose. They're called quick card collections, and we're loving them. And every single release that Paper Rose has been coming out with, they have been doing these quick card collections. And what we love is it kind of has the same recipe each time. It has the 6x8 papers in them, and then it has 4 sheets of like your little ephemera with sentiments. It has circles, and then it has other little random ephemeras. So there's lots of fun ones that Paper Rose is putting out. I think sometimes they're putting 2 or 3 out a month. There's a bunch. So they have Halloween and Christmas and birthday and baby. So there's bound to be something for everybody in those kits. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do that insert portion. And that insert portion needs to be 5x8. 5x8. So we're going to again take our 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and we're going to put it in our trimmer so it is wider than it is tall. And we're going to cut it at 5 inches. And then we're going to flip it and do 8 inches. I got to put my arm out for this one. I love this trimmer. If you guys are on the hunt for a good trimmer and you haven't found one yet and you don't have this one, I highly recommend this one by Spellbinders. It cuts straight. It has all your measurements on it. It has the cutter. It has the scorer on it. It has a little parking spot so you can park your blades, and you can leave both of them on at the same time. You don't have to pop them on and off. So I highly recommend this one. Okay, why we have this piece of paper here, let's go ahead and score it. And we're going to score it at 2.5. So again, put it in your trimmer so it is wider than it is tall. And we are going to score it at 2.5 for our first score. We're going to score it 3 times. Okay, then we're going to bump it over to 4.5. 4.5, and we're going to score it. And then we're going to do one more score. We're going to bump it over to 6 inches and score it. Okay. There we go. So we'll just set this guy to the side for the moment because we're going to make a second one for the second card. So we've got our piece of paper scrap that we had before. Okay. So we're going to put it over to 5 inches and cut it. And then we'll rotate it and do 8 inches. So we're just repeating the same thing we did for our insert. We're cutting it 5x8. Okay, 5x8. And then we're going to do the same scores again. We're just rinse and repeating. So we're going to do 2.5 and score. Okay, then we'll go 4.5 and score. And then we'll do 6 inches. And score. Okay, then we can get rid of our trimmer right now. And we have these pieces right here. We want to put it so you're larger. You're going to see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. You want to have the largest one on the right-hand side. Okay, largest on the right-hand side. We're going to take it and fold it over and score. And then we're going to open it up. And then this one is going to be a mountain, and this one's going to be a mountain. So we have a valley. We're going to do a mountain and a mountain. Mountain, and then a mountain. So when you open it up, you're going to have something that looks like this. Okay? Something that looks like that. And we're going to do the same thing. So you have your largest one on the right-hand side. You are going to fold it over. So we are making a valley. We're going to open it up. We're going to fold this over to make it a mountain. And then fold this one over and make another mountain. So we're just doing the same exact thing twice. And you'll end up with two pieces like this. So these will be our inserts. Okay, those are our inserts. And then we can just set all of these pieces to the side, and we have our base of our card ready. So what we need to do now is we are going to grab our pattern papers. Okay, so this is the first one we're going to start with. I love the stripes that were on this, and I love this area, and I wanted to have this centered in my card. But doing a standard size card, and let me get rid of this, because we'll need new measurements. Our gold is going to be 4. So our card is a standard A2 card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We are going to come down 1/4 of an inch on each one. So it's easier math. So we're going to go 5 by 5 1/4 for your gold. And then your pattern is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. We're just doing easy math. We're going to go down 1/4 of an inch. Well, when I was looking at this, and we'll just kind of line it up here so you can see it, when I wanted to center this, this image doesn't really center at 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 would have put it right here. And that would have been more over here than it's over here. So I didn't want that. I wanted it to be centered. So in order to have it centered, I did the math. We're going to cut 1 inch on the right-hand side, and then 1 inch on the left-hand side, and then that leaves the center 1 3/4. So that equals our 3 3/4. Okay? So I already did the math for you guys. So the easiest way, we're going to take this piece of paper, and we're going to put it in our trimmer. And what we're going to do is right here, where you see that stripe, that white stripe start, and the poinsettia start, we're going to line that up with 1 inch, because we want to have 1 inch of the poinsettia. Does that make sense? So 1 inch. We're going to line that up with 1 inch, and we're going to slice it. And then go ahead and save this. We will come back to it later. So that gives us 1 inch here. So now we need to flip it. And we are going to do 3 3/4 to make sure it's centered. So we're literally just shaving off this little piece right here. So now our image is centered. Okay? So this is our 3 3/4 piece. We now have to make it by 5. Doesn't matter if you chop off the top, doesn't matter if you chop off the bottom. We're just going to make it 5 inches. Okay, so there's 3 3/4 by 5 is our pattern paper. So that is going to be the piece that goes right there in the center. Okay, so now we need to cut our gold to 4 by 5 1/4. And I might have a piece that's already this size laying on the floor here. 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that. Give me a thumbs up when you got it, because the next thing we're going to do, we have to kind of die cut it all together. We're going to have our pattern paper, our gold paper, and then our card front. Okay, so when we die cut this, we're going to have to die cut it all at once. And I did have to do like 2 cuts to get it to work through these layers. Now, the dies I'm using, I posted a picture in the homework. These are the tonic dies. These are the ones that we did last year. I think we did a couple different bundles with them. Deanna has them too. I used the straight edge, and then I used the baby scallop with the stitching because it worked. You can use whatever you want. But for the outside, you want to use a straight circle. So on this set, I used the 3rd circle in. Okay, the 3rd circle in, which is also, let me find my ruler. It is 3 3/8. Yours does not have to be this exact size. If yours is, and you just want to make sure when you put it on that you kind of have pattern paper on the side still and still pattern at the top. You don't want it to go all the way to the edge. If yours is smaller, perfect. You just want to make sure that it is big enough that your circle fits on there. Any of the little circle embellishments, they're all the same size. You just want to make sure it fits on there. So if yours is smaller than mine, that is fine. If you do not have a circle die, then just skip this part. Don't do this part. And what you will do is essentially make this card look just like this without the interactive piece. So you don't have to have the interactive pieces. Okay, are you guys ready? So we are going to grab a die cutting machine and your circle. So what we're going to do is do them all at once. And you want to make sure everything is lined up. So I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to make sure my gold, and you don't really want to put adhesive on here because we're going to gut some of these pieces and reuse some of these pieces. And I need to do it right side up so I know where my center is. So let me turn mine around. I need to make sure it's right side up. You want to make sure everything's layered the way you want it and it looks good. The first time I did it, I put adhesive on it and then I couldn't get my pieces back apart. I couldn't gut my pieces. So we're just going to eyeball it, lay it on there, make sure it's as straight as you can. You want to have equal on the sides, and then I do have more at the bottom than at the top. And I came down, about a hair, just like that, okay? So then we are just going to put our cutting plate on, and we are going to die cut this. Now, this might take a couple cranks to go through it. I'm using a self-healing mat, and sometimes with the self-healing mat, it's more spongy, which doesn't go through all the layers at once. So let's see how we did. Okay, we got that layer. That is perfect. That looks great. We got our gold. Looks like our gold is punched out, except for one little spot. So we'll just take, we are doing, Kathy, the straight. So we are doing the straight circle. The scallop is going to be for embellishing later. Okay, so there's my gold. Perfect. And then this guy did not cut all the way through. So what I'm going to try to do is move him around until I feel the grooves, because you want to line it back up perfectly in that area. So usually you can wiggle it around, you can find its grooves, and then I'm going to die cut it again. So we are just working our way through the 3 layers. Excuse me, we're making a window. Pretty close. There we go. And we're only going to do one at a time because I don't want to confuse you guys on the layers. Okay, so one at a time. So now what you should have is your card base. I need to clean mine, and we use the straight circle. We got your card base with a white circle. You can throw this to the side. We are not going to use it. Not using that white circle. Then you're going to have a gold piece. We will use both of these. And you're going to have your pattern piece, and we're going to use both of these also. Okay, we can go ahead and put your cover together, and I found it easier. It is hard to line these guys up when you have white on white behind you. So I found it easier. My mat's black. You might have a different color mat. I found it easier to open it up, and then that way you can go in and line your circle up. So what you want to do is make sure your circle is lined up. Okay, and then we'll just glue that piece down. And when you're lining your circle up too, you kind of want to go around your circle and make sure you're equal here, like it's not wonky. You don't want it off keter. You want to make sure that it is straight in there. Okay, so now we just have our gold with our window. Got our little window. Then we're going to go in with our pattern paper and do the same thing. We're just going to glue it right on top. We're going to have that little bit of gold all the way around it on that outer edge. Okay, how are we doing? We got that? We're just lining those pieces up. So there's our card front. Okay, when I was doing this, I did it twice. I screwed up twice and I had to rip it apart. I put my mechanism in and then I put my circle on and then I opened it and I went, crap, I forgot my pattern paper. So the easiest way that when I redid this was to add my pattern paper to my mechanism first, then put it inside of my card. Then I wasn't screwing up and forgetting to add that before I added my circles. So we're going to do that. We're going to do our pattern papers. So the scrap piece that you have is this piece right here. It's going to match and coordinate with your stuff on the outside edge, okay? So we're going to cut that down. And it is going to be 4 7/8. And then we got tricky math on this one. By 1 7/8. And then the other will be 4 7/8 again. By 1 3/8. So I'm going to cut the 4 7/8 first. So I'm going to put it in my trimmer so it is wider than it is tall. And I'm going to cut it 4 7/8 because that's what the rest of our cuts are. Then we're going to flip it and do 1 7/8. Choo it over and do 1 3/8. So those pieces are going to go right here with a little bit of white all the way showing around the outside edge. Evidently, Coco doesn't understand what quiet hour means. I swear they get that fall burst of cold air and it makes them crazy. Wild child. Okay, so there we go. So now you should have your Z pattern, or it's not even a Z. I don't know what it's called. You got this, a bench. Kind of looks like a bench. You got your bench. So put your pattern papers on first, and then there's no oopsies. No oopsies. So we're going to fold this down like this, okay? Measurements are right here. 4 7/8 by 1 7/8. 4 7/8 by 1 3/8. This we've already done. Which I don't know why I crossed that out because we're going to use that again on the other card. Okay, so you're going to crunch this piece down. And essentially what it's going to do is it needs to go in here and it's going to stick right here and then it's going to open like that. Okay, so we have to glue it in there and then we're going to glue it in the base. the easiest thing to do first is to put glue. We're going to take this and we're going to flip it, and on the large panel, so you're going to see the largest panel, which is the back panel, we are going to put glue on that piece. And while we're still kind of pinching it, what we're going to do is cram it into the crease, make sure it's centered as much as possible, and just close it down. So we need to make sure it's in the crease, and you're going to close it down. So now what we've done is we stuck that back panel. That back piece is stuck. The next thing we need to do is stick this piece. So we're going to crunch it down again. And when we put adhesive on this, we have to be very careful because you don't want to end up with adhesive here in your open, and you don't want to end up with adhesive over here either. So essentially and I think I'm going to use score tape because the last time I used liquid and I kind of made a mess. So when you close it, the top portion is going to be glued. So I'm going to put score tape there along the top. And I'm going to put score tape here along this piece. Okay. So on the top and the bottom, I put some score tape. I'm also going to go up this piece here. I think this will be easier to do than liquid, because the liquid, you have to make sure you don't get it in the wrong places. And I think that'll be enough to do it. Okay. So then we're going to, and you know what? I'm going to go up. You can kind of eyeball it and see. I'm going to go up just a little bit. See, I went up too tall. Just a little bit there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my score tape off. If you want to try to use liquid, go for it. But you just want to make sure you don't get stuff in the wrong area. So I've got my score tape kind of in a U shape. I'm going to close it down. And now when it opens, you're going to have this. So it's kind of like a pillar card, almost like a pillar. Okay, has everybody got that? There is our flipping mechanism. You should have a pillar. Then we've got pieces in our scraps, okay? So we have that scrap gold and we have this scrap. Okay, I see thumbs up, we're good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this scrap gold right back here in this circle. So basically we're gonna put it back in the circle and we want it to open, okay? So when we open it, it has to open. So see how it slides? So when we glue this circle down, you want to put glue just here on your pattern paper, nothing on this area, okay? Nothing on that area. And you want to make sure it is perfect in your window and your window opens, okay? So your window opens. There's a couple things you could do. You could put your liquid in there. You could also put some score tape in there. I think I'm going to do score tape because I found it was a little bit easier to work with and make sure it didn't get put in the wrong spot. So I'm just inside the pattern paper. Inside the pattern paper, I'm putting my score tape. And then you're going to put, and for mine, I like to always do the little hinges. So we're going to put it back in there. make sure it lifts, and I just pull my score tape. Okay, and that is stuck, and then I'll just go under here with my tweezers or maybe my craft pick, and I will get that other one out of there. Okay, so now we have our floating circle. I guess that's what we can call it, is a floating circle. Okay, this piece here, I thought was a beautiful piece, and I didn't want it to go to waste, and I flipped it over, and I thought, oh my God, that is a beautiful color. I love it. So what I did is I die cut it with the scallop I had. The scallop die with the stitching, this is the baby scallop with stitching, fit perfectly with a little bit of gold showing, and then fit inside of those embellishment pieces. It is very, very close, guys. It is very close. So I'm just going to put that on there, and I just kind of line it up, and it is literally shaving off like a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, and then we'll just crank that through. And you're gonna see that's what it shaved off. Just the smallest little piece. I did not save that. I hucked that piece. Okay, so I have that piece. You can use whatever circle you wanted. My original one has this one. My original one has that. This one, I think I'm going to use this. Okay, so you can use whatever circle you want, and you're just going to glue it on flat. We're just going to glue this one on flat. And then we'll have that little bit of red shining all the way through. So we kind of gutted it, and nothing went to waste. Nothing went to waste. I'm going to position mine differently because I have different pieces left over. Okay, so now we're going to add pop dots to that, and we are going to pop it to the center of that gold. Okay, we're going to pop it to the center of the gold. And I'll bring my other one in so you can kind of see this is the original one I did. And of course this kit only had one of each item in there, so I'm just kind of subbing and doing a little bit different for the second one. So this one I put the Celebrate Seasons with that really pretty holly. And I glued this down flat and then popped that one. Left in my kit, I'm going to use pieces that Deanna used. So I'm going to put, do I want to put that poinsettia or that poinsettia? And then I just love these little sentiments. They are so, so pretty. Happy holidays. There's no right or wrong. I don't know why I'm fuzzying with it. I like the big one, so I'm going to glue down the big one. And you guys are doing the holly. Aw, little deer out front playing. That'd be awesome to watch. Love it. I love when we go camping and they sneak through our campsites and we watch them. There was tons of them last time we went camping. Okay, I'm gonna put my happy holidays. I'm gonna put it kind of right in the center on that one. So there are two different versions using those pieces. And then what we're gonna do, and you know what, I have another one of these left over. I could pop it, we're not gonna waste it. We're gonna take our bling, and I told you to have gold gems, gold pearls, whatever you guys got. There is no right or wrong. And we're going to sprinkle 3 down here and 3 up there. And when I always love to do odd numbers. And then I always do like a small, medium, large. I always vary the sizes. And it just adds a little color and a little something, something. Okay, so we'll do the same thing up at the top, just using liquid adhesive. I really like the pearls by Spellbinders. Those are great ones too. These are by Pink Fresh. I just had them in my stash. I like the ones by Spellbinders also because they have adhesive already on them. So they literally just peel and stick. Okay, guys, there is card number 1. Card number 1. I think we're only going to get through 2. We're going to run out of time. Sometimes the interactives take a little bit more time. Okay, and I will take pictures of these and I will post them in the Crafty Hour Creations Facebook group. And then don't forget, you can always get these on replay if you need to replay and make a sloppy copy or slow it down or pause it. That is what that is there for. Okay. We want to try to get at least 2 cards done in the hour. Okay, so our next card, we kind of already started it because remember we already did the base, guys. So we're going to grab this piece of paper right here. Trying to figure out where I did my cuts. This piece of paper right here. So again, we need to do the measurements that for some reason I scribbled out on the top. So our gold piece is going to be 4 by 5 1/4, and our pattern is 3 3/4 by 5. So we're repeating the same exact thing we did on the front card. I always like to repeat what we've done. That way it kind of ingrains and you know what you're doing, and then you can run with it. So we're going to take this piece of paper and put it in our trimmer so it is wider than it is tall. Okay, and we're going to cut it at 3 3/4. 3 3/4. Then we are going to cut off the bottom portion. I went back and forth with this. The first time I did the card, my stripe was up here, and I felt like it wasn't enough stripe. So then the second time I did it, I redid it, and I shifted that stripe down. Okay, so then we're going to flip it and we'll do it with 5 inches. Okay, and then while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and cut a 4 by 5 1/4 in gold. So 4 by 5 1/4 in gold. And I like to do that with mine. That way I didn't cut through that piece and I have more scraps. Okay, so those pieces are going to nest inside of each other. Just like that. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing we did on the other card, where we are going to die cut through all 3 layers at the same time. Okay, So we're going to grab those and cut them. Don't you just love these papers? I love these papers on how they already kind of give you a lot of design and pattern, so you don't have to do a lot to them. And the only way to get these pattern papers, these are the 6x8s that are kind of pre-printed, is in the card kits. Paper Rose does have 6x6 pads, and they also have 12x12 paper pads, but it is all over patterns. It is not split like these are. Whoop, my magnet is wanting to grab it and push it somewhere else. Not wanting to play nice. Okay, we're going to put that on there, put our top on, and we're going to crank her through. Kathy, that's okay. Your circle, your plain circle could be smaller. And then where I did the scallop for the inside, you could just do a solid. You don't have to do a scallop there. You could do this, guys, also with other shapes. You could do this with a square. You could do it with a diamond, an octagon. This technique would work with different shapes. So I would love to see you guys run with it and do other shapes. And make sure to post them over in the Crafty Hour Creations Facebook group. That is our private Facebook group for you guys, so you can post your creations and get inspirations from each other. And we always leave you guys with lots of leftovers, and we always have different add-ons that go with these sets too, so we can't wait to see what you guys create with those additional add-ons. Okay, so that is die cut. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to glue down my gold first. Whoops, I missed the hole. Okay, and then we'll glue down our pattern paper next. Perfect. And what you guys could always do too, if you don't want to use your good paper right away when you're crafting along with us, grab that extra paper, grab that printer paper and make a sloppy copy to have your template with the first time. And then you can go back and do it with your good paper. Okay, so there we go. There's that piece. Looking good. Then we need to do our insert piece. And my insert piece, we're going to look for the plaid. I didn't grab that one. We're looking for the piece of paper. It has the red plaid on it. Which I have a scrap, so I'm going to see if I have enough. The red plaid, it has this on one side and then the red plaid on the back. I have a scrap. You guys will have to grab a full sheet. I'm trying to use up what I have. So it's going to be the 4 7/8. This is going to be the insert pieces again. So 4 7/8. Then we're going to flip it and do 1 7/8. And then 1 3/8. Oh, I have just enough. Okay, we're going to find our mechanism and we're going to go ahead and glue that to our mechanism so we don't forget. Because like I said, I did these cards multiple times, and every time I did it, I glued down my flipping circle mechanism, and then I opened my card and I was like, oh shoot, it is still white inside. And I had to rip my circle up and sneak my pattern paper back under there. So I find if I do it over here first, then there's no oopsie forgetsies. Okay, so then we're going to put this guy in the inside just like we did on the other one. We're going to fold it down just like that. Folding it down, we're going to flip it over, and the larger side, we're going to put adhesive all over the larger side. We're going to take it to the crease. We're going to kind of put it in the crease. Make sure it is equal at the top and the bottom, and we're just going to close it down. So that is gluing on that back panel. Got it? And then we're going to repeat and do our U shape of score tape. And make sure you don't get in the area where your little window is going to be. And then I'm going to come up just a little hair right here. Let's see if that clears my window. That clears my window. I'm good. Okay, so we will peel off that score tape. And we will shut the front door. When you open it, you have your mechanism. I'm going to die. So this is from our thing that we had before. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to use the script piece this time. Okay, the scripty part. We're going to use that. So I'm just going to go ahead and die cut it really quick. I'll do it off screen while you guys are doing the other, because we've already done the other die cutting. It's just putting that on and die cutting that. So I'm going to die cut my scallop really quick. And there's that. Okay, so we are going to glue this piece down again. And again, I'm going to take my score tape and go right inside that window on where we're going to put on the pattern paper, just on the pattern paper inside the window, the gold foil piece. I always like to take and I make a little, let me rub it so it's down. I like to make a little flapper and bend it over so it gives me something to kind of pull it, but it also gives me a little bit to stick, because sometimes, you know, that score tape grabs it and you can't adjust it. Okay. So I can pull and release. Okay, and then I'm going to go under here and pull and release. Okay, then we're going to pick a mechanism, any mechanism, to go in the center. Here's the one I used on the original card that you guys can do. I think I'm going to use a red border again because I really like that red border with it. So I'm going to use this one. Because like I said, there's only one of each. We're going to put liquid glue on there. And then we're going to glue that piece down to our scallop. Okay, and then this piece gets flipped and put foam on the back. Okay, and let's see, how do I want to put this? Kind of like it clustered just like that. Do my stripes up and down. Okay, and then you open it up and you've got that. So on mine, I kind of put the ticket stub and then there was two little kind of holly pieces in there, little greenery pieces. And I glued these all flat and then I popped that piece. Okay, and then we're going to do this little strip here at the bottom. And that was just pulling scraps out of my pile, just a scrap. And this piece in my pile is already the correct width. I don't know if you guys have a scrap that same size, but it is already the correct width. So it is 3 3/4. And it is going to be... I just eyeballed it, guys. I'm telling you. It's a hair short than 3/4 of an inch. We'll say 3/4 of an inch. It's just a hair short. I think what I did was cutting the text out. Yeah, I went with a full text when I was doing it because mine had like a void there. I just eyeballed it because I wanted a little bit of something to break up that stripe. Just a little something. So I'm going to see what a hair smaller than 3/4 looks like. Hair smaller than 3/4. Yeah, and that's kind of what I did. I wanted to have full words on there. Yeah, it's pretty dang close. And then in my scraps again, I just pulled out some gold scraps. Okay. And Deanna does this technique all the time. I love to do it. It is just scraps. Let me make sure it's the right length. It is longer. Perfect. I'm going to take the scrap and I am literally just going to cut this in half. It doesn't matter where it is. I'm just going to cut it in half because I want a little bit of gold at the top and a little bit of gold at the bottom. Okay. So I'm just going to flip this over. I just take my liquid glue and I just put a fine bead and I lay it on here and just have a little bit of gold showing. Okay, just a little bit of gold. Make sure it's straight. Then I just flip and snip. Just like that. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I don't think I snipped that very straight, but we're going with it. Along the bottom. I'm going to put a little bead. So this is a great way to use up your scraps. Whoops. And I way overshot that. Got a little carried away with my adhesive. There we go. And then that piece is just going to go right on there to kind of break up that stripe. I feel like it just needed broke up. This is a great way to use up any of your scraps because we know our metallic papers are precious. They are like precious metals, and it is like gold, and we do not want them going to waste. Okay, let me set that on there to dry. Actually, that is not centered. I don't know why it's not. Let me add something a little bit more grippy. Yeah, nothing goes to waste. We will use every little inch that we got. Every little eighth of an inch that we have. Oops, and now I'm upside down. Ooh, good thing I caught that. Make sure your text is right side up. Okay, kind of hold that a moment. And then on the bottom, I kind of, on this one, did 3 little dots. So I kind of did a big one with 2 medium ones, kind of the side of each of it, to kind of break that up, because again, it looked a little, it just needed broke up. So we're going to find a big one in here. Everybody rolling around. There's a big one right there. Perfect. When I'm doing 3, I always do the center one first and then the 2 sides to make sure they're equally spaced. I don't ever start at one side and then go across because I feel like it doesn't space them out properly. Okay, there we go. Oh, look at that. We got 1 minute to spare. I got a little bit of glue coming out. That's okay. I'm going to put a sentiment of some sort up here. And you know what? I'm going to add, so this one, we did a ticket stub with that. Let's see what I have left here in my pile. I have a postage stamp and a poinsettia. Ooh, I kind of like that. I have a postage stamp and a sentiment. Or I could just do a poinsettia. Ooh, look at this. Merry Christmas. What you guys think? Postage stamp. Merry Christmas. There's no right or wrong. When you're putting your things on, you can go off this edge over here, but you cannot go over this edge. If you try to go over this edge, when you open it, it's not going to open. But over here, you can go off the edge and you'll be fine, guys. You'll be fine on there. So with that, that is Crafty Hour number 73, I think we're on. So thank you, everybody, so much for joining me tonight and crafting along. I hope you had a great time. If you're catching us on replay, that is awesome. Also, make sure to post your creations over in our private Facebook group called Crafty Hour Creations. And we would love to see what you guys have created and what your interpretation of these cards and kit is. And also tomorrow will be the announcement of our next Crafty Hour. And it will go live at 11 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Pacific. The kits are in stock right now. We've had these in store since I think it was May or June, which means the products are discontinued and we cannot get any more. So when we are sold out, we are sold out on this one. So don't delay in getting registered for the next one. We will be plugging the links tomorrow. You can just click the links to sign up and go to our website to register. And yeah, so thank you so much, everybody, for the love, for the support, for all the hearts. Thank you for joining us. I hope you love these cards and crafted along. And remember, you can always find our replays on our YouTube channels for any of our past crafty hours too. So thank you everybody so much. Have a fabulous night, and we will see you tomorrow for the announcement of the next crafty hour. Bye-bye.